I had never before considered what my beliefs about sleep might have to do with the problem. It wasn't so obvious at first, but the more I became familiar with cognitive behavioral strategies, the more I began to make the connection. It all stemmed from my very firm belief that I needed 8 hours of unbroken or relatively unbroken sleep in order to feel rested, alert, and energized. Little did I know, but my brain was busy calculating the amount of sleep that I had or got and the kind of sleep that I was getting, and then issuing that result: you didn't get enough. You will be tired. It wasn't a mystery as to why that belief was the cardinal rule of sleep in my brain. It had been installed when I was a kid and had been reinforced by everything I had heard about sleep since then, and had never been updated. My knowledge of CBT and my zest for using that strategy eventually led me to think about how this belief influenced my experience. I believed that 8 hours of good sleep was necessary to feel rested and energized. And I believed that when I didn't get that, I would feel tired and exhausted. I began to wonder what would happen if I didn't believe that. What if I believed something different about the quantity, the depth, and the quality of sleep I got? Now, according to the theory, a belief is simply a collection of thoughts that I have come to think about the most about a topic or a subject. And in keeping with CBT then, I could change what I believed by simply generating a greater magnitude of alternative thought about that topic or subject. It seemed a bit radical at the time, but I decided to test the theory. In keeping with that idea, I created a different set of beliefs about sleep. I knew, of course, that sleep is necessary, no doubt about that, but I also knew that there were other people who seemed to do just fine on 4 to 5 hours of sleep. So I started to do a bit of research on sleep. I learned that in the animal world, for instance, the amount of time of sleep required by large mammals varies greatly. Giraffes, for instance, sleep only 3 to 4 hours. I also learned that during sleep, the neural activity in the brain slows down greatly. So could it be that slowing down neural activity that occurs from just closing our eyes and shutting down our ears to process sound and lying still? Could that be sufficient to recharge the brain and the body? I further reasoned that the thoughts themselves could play a big part in how much recharging happens in bed at night. In other words, if I trained myself to think only about exciting and wonderful things at night in bed, I would be recharging my brain, as opposed to the energy I was spending now by thinking about problems and thinking about things that needed to be done. Finally, I reasoned that my brain was fully capable of getting all of the sleep it needed, and that if I just let my brain do that on its own, it would take care of it all by itself. So after careful thought, I began developing a new set of beliefs about sleep. My new belief was going to be that the act of shutting down the visual cortex and auditory cortex and lying still horizontally was a large part of the recharging process. Since I hadn't had much luck shutting down my brain anyway, I would simply reboot my thinking to energy-producing thoughts that excited me, which I decided to call night dreams, different from what I'll call sleep dreams, those dreams that happen when I'm actually asleep, and more like daydreaming, but only at night and with my eyes closed. So I went to work creating a library of night dream topics made up of all the things that I love to think about: vacations, achievements, cool projects I'm working on, things I'm proud of, fun things I've done in my life, and even reliving some really cool sleep dreams that I've had in the past. I found it to be very fun and stimulating to put together this fantastic collection of fabulous things to think about. They were exciting things, and they wouldn't make me sleepy, which is why I had been afraid to think about them before. But my new belief was that they were recharging my battery anyway. So it was going to be fun and productive to lie awake night dreaming as long as I